Yeah, just first of all, before getting started, just want to, mention, Sean Clark, passed away. I guess it was Sunday night, and just mention his family, Janelle, Gianna, Braxton, his two kids. Sean and I were teammates at App State back in the '90s, and then coached together for several years, and obviously been close for a long time. He was a great guy. A really good football coach, but more importantly, a great guy, a great husband, father, and he'll be missed. Just prayers go out to his family, and what a tragedy. 50 years old, it just shows how short life is and how we need to live it to the fullest. But I wanted to mention that first, and then obviously, huge week for us this week, starting Big 12 play. A really, really good opponent. Kansas, on the road. Obviously, more difficult to go win out on the road in the Big 12. But I think Kansas has done a great job since Coach has been there, and has really changed that whole program. It's amazing, what they were before and what they are now. And you watch the film, and they're good in all three phases. They play hard. They're physical. If you relax on any phase, they're gonna put it to you. I think. Obviously starts with the offense with Jalen Daniels, a guy who's played for 6 years, outstanding player, and can run, can throw, does it all for them, kind of makes their offense go. Defensively, very active, very physical, very aggressive defense. And then you look at the teams. I mean, their field goal kicker, I think it's 5 for 5. And then he had a big kickoff return last week for a touchdown as well. So they're very solid in that also. So, obviously a great challenge for us, but we're excited about the challenge and looking forward to playing our first Big 12 game.
They've got a rushing attack that is difficult to defend. How much do you talk to your guys about eye discipline and not falling for some of the sleight of hand and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think they do a great job with, with their scheme, Obviously, they can run the football, but then just when you're committing to the run or whatever, then they play action, and there goes a guy free. You look on film a lot. There's a lot of guys free and running down the field, and Jalen's got 12 touchdown passes. Because of it, And so, to your point, you got to look at your keys. You can't have your eyes looking somewhere else. All of a sudden, now your guy is going to beat you, and then they're going to make you pay. So, fundamentally, I think this is going to be a fundamental game for us. I think, and that's part of being fundamentally sound is your eye discipline, but also tackling. I think tackling is going to be huge. I watched them play West Virginia. I was, sitting at home watching them, and their running back making guys miss. So tackling is going to be a big emphasis for us, this week for sure. Because Jalen's hard to tackle too, the quarterback. He's another big, strong guy. So fundamentally, have to be able to tackle, bring your feet, but eye discipline will be huge.
Are you looking forward to your first injury report, and what can you tell us about Dante?
No, I'm not really necessarily looking forward to any injury report, but I know that's coming out today, and it is what it is. I don't put a lot of stock in that really. We're going to get out there on game day and you see who's playing and who's not. I think is the main thing, but. Dante's making great progress. He'll be listed as questionable as we come out tomorrow for our report. But he's making great progress, and obviously we'll see as the week goes and see how he's progressing.
What would you say is the biggest thing you learned about your team during the bye week, or even this whole 4-week stretch where you kind of play a really big game and then you have a little bit before you get to conference play?
I think looking back on the 3 games that we've played, we, obviously did a lot of good things throughout the 3 weeks, things we needed to get better on. I think, we're still obviously working hard to get better. We're nowhere near where we can be, I don't think. I think, obviously you break it down into 3 phases. We're solid in the special teams. I still think we can get a lot better in the teams. Defensively, I think we've been solid there as well. Second half of the Bowling Green game, I didn't think we tackled as good in the second half of that game. I still think, we got to do a better job of creating turnovers. I still think that's a point of emphasis. And then offensively, I think we've the last, each week, I think we got more and more efficient throwing the football. Obviously, wasn't as good as the first week as but we got better with that. I don't think we've run the ball exceptionally well, but I think we've been solid. You'd like to be better at that as well. So I think we've been a pretty solid team over the first 3 games. Came up a few plays short in the first one, and then, but we also know that the real season starts now. Big 12 play. Everybody's good. I mean, everybody's coached well. I think we've seen that as you go. Watch most all our teams in the Big 12 have gone out and done some really good things, and we've already started to see teams beat up on each other. I mean, it's crazy as these teams start playing. I mean, just sitting there watching the Utah Texas Tech game, 2 really good football teams. Somebody's got to lose. And you're looking at Baylor. Baylor's a really good football team, and what's their record? 2-2. I mean, it could easily be 4-0 right now. It's the way it's going to be week in and week out. And I think Kansas has a really, really good football team. I think we got a good team, and I think as you go through these games, there's going to be a lot of tight games. There's going to be a lot of back and forth. But you got to find some ways to hit your plays and limit them hitting theirs. I mean, that's really what it's going to come down to. And who does that the best will end up ultimately winning these games. And it is going to be a 3. You got to look at all 3 phases. Like I think. So many times you just look at offense and defense. Man, kicking game in this league is going to be huge. You just look at the field position. I mean, it's going to be huge. I think about just the Kansas-West Virginia game. I mean, they had a kickoff return for a touchdown. Kansas did. Then they had another kickoff return for close to 50 yards. Their punters, I mean, number 1 net punting in the conference, that punted 47, 48 yards, a punt. I mean, they're flipping the field. I think those hidden yards right there are huge. And I think that's going to be a huge part of the teams that win this league.
Scott, condolences to you. Obviously, a very tragic loss. How do you stay focused, knowing that you're grieving loss of a close friend, while also knowing your team's first Big 12 game is this Saturday? How do you stay focused with that balance?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously he was a close friend of mine, like really close, and. It's difficult. I think life throws a lot of things at us all, and that we all have to deal with. And I'm sure, I think in times like this, I think about our players a lot because, we got 100 and some guys on our team, and each week there's something going on with one of our guys, maybe back home, a family member, a loved one, and we expect them to come into the building and be focused and ready to go. So I think about them, and I think about how. I don't want to let anybody down in this building. And so, when I'm at home and I got time to think about it and grieve, then that's what I'm doing. When I'm here, I'm focused on what we have to do. And I think you have to be able to do that. We always talk to our players about be where your feet are. And, when I'm here, my feet are here, then that's where all my focus has to be. But yeah, I mean, obviously you're human too, and it's difficult. But I know Sean would want that same thing. I mean, shoot, man, he was as competitive as anybody. So, I mean, when it's time to play, it's time to go to work, it's time to go to work.
Neil and Austin.
Coach, when you look at an offense surrounding Jalen Daniels, a guy who has faced so much adversity throughout his career, what makes him such a unique and dangerous challenge when you guys face a guy like Jalen Daniels in this weekend?
Man, there's a lot of different things. Number 1 is experience. I mean, he's played a lot of football. You think about 6 years, an older quarterback, and he's seen it all, and he's made a ton of plays in a lot of different ways. He's just there's not one thing that he's not good at. I mean, we've seen him do some incredible runs throughout his career. We've seen him make some incredible passes throughout his career. When he's on, he's as good as anybody in the country. And he's certainly got the ability to be on like that. Now, we obviously have to do some things to make him a little bit more uncomfortable. Now, whatever that looks like, obviously wouldn't say that, but we're going to have to do some things to make him uncomfortable because, if he is comfortable and he's able to make the plays like that, he can embarrass you, really, quite honestly. And he's got some really good players around him also. I think their offensive line plays good. He's got some good skill players and a good running game. So he presents a lot of issues and a lot of problems.
Austin.
Kansas ranks in the top 40 turnover margin. How important is it for you guys to win that turnover battle?
I mean, it's huge. I mean, it's a huge stat. And it is every week, though. I mean, again, when you talk about when the margins are so tight, like, if you give a ball away, you have a hard time winning when it's that way. We got, again, I mentioned this earlier, we got to do a better job of creating turnover. We certainly got to take care of the football. Like if you don't take care of the ball, you have a hard time to go on the road and win the game. So turnover margin's huge. As I mentioned earlier, I think tackling is going to be huge in this game as well. In field position, so that speaks to special teams.
Kind of continuing with Daniels, last year he had some struggles. They ended the season really hot. What have you seen as the differences compared to from this season to last season in his game?
Yeah, I think when you make their offense, if you can do a great job in stopping their running game, I think that certainly plays in your favor, because if they're able to get that running game going, then they're just hard to stop. Because now, just as soon as you commit to stopping the run, well, there goes somebody free in the passing game, and now he's got easy throws. Obviously, you got to do a great job of stopping the run to try to limit that. I think Missouri was able to do that, and that the one game they lost, even though they did still score a lot of points in that game. But I think that gives you the best chance, because knocking them off the sticks and not letting them stay in that just normal routine, that's going to be the key, I think. But that comes back to being fundamentally sound and tackling well.
Who plays Daniels on the scout team? Samaj is the most similar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Samaj, he's working on our end, the offensive end. I think Kinsey probably, he's a bigger kid, can run as well, and he's got a lot of arms, so obviously he'll probably play a little bit of that. Coker's been down that end as well. Obviously not the kind of runner that you would think, Daniels is. But Samaj is the closest thing to that. If they feel like defense they need another look, we slide them down there for a period or two for sure. It's for more than us, I think it's just more fundamental. Being what you're supposed to be, eye discipline, lining up correctly is probably the most important thing.
Defensively, they've given up some yards, but they've done a pretty good job outside of, a half versus Missouri, keeping teams out of the end zone. Is it kind of a similar approach where they'll bend a little, but they do a nice job bowing up?
Yeah, I think, I thought they looked great against West Virginia. I mean, West Virginia scored late in the game, but I mean, they held them all game long. I think West Virginia was maybe 3 for 13 on third down. I mean, go back to the Missouri game. Missouri hit 3 fourth downs, 2 of them scored on fourth down. I mean, they were giving Missouri a lot of fits, I think. That game, they were ahead of that game with 6 minutes to go in the game. Kansas was, and then Missouri hit a fourth down. I think it was a 4th and 6 or 7 that scored. To take the lead, and then they're running the clock out at the end, and they pop a long one, so the score really didn't indicate how close that game was. I thought Kansas played an outstanding game, obviously in that one. They also made the quarterback fumble, picked it up, and ran it in, scored on defense as well. So, again, they've done a really nice job, all 3 phases. But I think they're really good. I think they're really good on defense, and they cause problems. I think they're second in the Big 12 in sacks right now, with 12. So, 12 or 13, they're right there at the top. They put pressure on you, and they try to knock you off for 6.
Coach, you mentioned the run game for Kansas, led by Daniel Hishaw and Rashawn Williams. Obviously, Hishaw's a little bit banged up heading into this one. What makes that 1-2 tandem so special and so hard to defend for opposing defenses?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're having to defend obviously the quarterback also, and I think that's part of it. So if you're having to put somebody that has to have the quarterback, well, that's one less guy that's going to be on the running back. So what it does, it frees up an extra guy. So a lot of times there's one guy that may be free to tackle that running back. And you go back and I watched the West Virginia game, they had a lot of some of their long runs. They're making guys miss. They're running through tackles. The long run, I think he made 2 guys miss and ran through another one, and it was a 60-yard touchdown. So and that's kind of what it goes back to. You may be the one guy that has to make the tackle. Well, you got to bring your feet. You got to wrap up. I think that's the key. And these guys are strong runners. They're compact, strong runners. They run through tackles, and it's hard to get a lot of hats on the ball. I think that's the key.
2 years in to the Big 12, you and this program, what's the biggest thing you've learned coaching in this conference, and what is the biggest point of emphasis for your team this season to get to where you want to go, which is Dallas?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we've learned is that it's every single team has really good coaches and really good players, because like when I was in ACC, I felt like, man, there's 3 or 4 teams like, man, we go out here, we're going to win this game. It's what you felt like. I don't feel that way in this league. I feel like everybody in this league, from the top to bottom, you better show up or they will beat you. And so what it says about is that the guys are coached well. And then everybody in this league, I think, is very similar in talent. I think the talents are similar. And so it's going to come down to how hard a guys play on that particular day. How locked in are they? Are you healthy? All those type things matter. And then I think the margins are so tight. So therefore, all three phases have to be really good. We have not been great special team wise, the first couple years. I think we're better this year. That gives you a better chance for field position, which gives you a better chance to score, and or keep guys out of the end zone from scoring. So to me, it's a cumulative effect of all three phases that we've gotten better. I feel like we've gotten better in the 3 years that we've gotten here, and that will give us a chance to compete for the Big 12.
You had a big noisy crowd in the Nebraska game. This is supposed to be a sellout. I don't know how noisy it is, but are you guys ready for the silent count and all that stuff?
Yeah, they did renovations in the stadium last year. So this is the first year back in the stadium. And apparently the visitor side, I guess, is they're going to tear down next year and fix that also. So basically a new stadium, sell out this year. I think there may be 40,000 is what I'm hearing that will be there. There is an open end zone in this facility here. Unlike like Arrowhead where it's all closed in, it kept all the noise in. So maybe not quite as loud because of the open end zone. But yeah, we'll be prepared for if we need to go silent cadence. I watched the Texas Tech Utah game, and Texas Tech I think had 8 false start penalties. They were struggling with the noise out at Utah. And I think anytime you go into these venues in the Big 12, you better be ready for silent cadence. And Texas Tech just did the clap the whole game and just, kind of struggled with that. So, obviously you better be prepared for either one.
Looking like it's going to go to one transfer portal window. You have gotten some good players in the spring portal the last 2 years. What are your feelings and opinions on that?
Yeah. I think last couple of years, you've had 2 chances. So whatever, you kind of go through spring and say, all right, what else do we need to get? We're just going to have to do a great job of, all right, what do we need to try to go out and get at the end of the season, and I think you got to get all your needs met at that one particular time. It certainly will be different this year with that. Part of me says I like it because, now you get your team. This is your team. Like you're set with your team by January, end of January, and you can go through all spring, go through the summer with your guys. This is who we're going to go to battle with in the fall, as opposed to, hey, January comes and then all of a sudden now in May we got to do it again. Like that's a little bit frustrating, I think, to have to do it again in May. So, but it will be some adjustments, I think, for everybody, to say you got to get your team right now at the end of December, January, and figure out what your needs are.
What's a quarterback's life like in a bye week? Kind of, do you work on yourself for the bye week and then get into Kansas? What's the process?
Yeah, obviously you get to get a jump start on Kansas, so obviously, did that. And then just focused on the body and the mind and just chilled out and watched some ball on Saturday. So really nothing other than just a little early start on Kansas and just relaxing.
They did a decent job on Pribula. I want to say it right. Bo Pribula, whatever. Bo P from Missouri. But yeah, they stopped his running game, so obviously they're going to try to stop you. That leaves a couple other things open, and I would guess you'll still get your yards running anyway, right?
Well, I guess we'll find out, Scott. There's only one way to find out, and that's to go play the game, see if I have to run around, see if they let me run around or what their game plan is for me. Obviously, we'll be ready to throw it, run it, do all of that. So excited for the challenge. Really good team. Obviously, the quarterback in Missouri did a really good job. He's obviously really athletic, so they did a good job of containing him. So, you gotta see what you can get away with early on in the game, and then go from there.
When you watch a game like Utah and Texas Tech, and then see Texas Tech go in there and win by, I think it was 30 points, does that make you happy and confident in how wide open the league is, or is it kind of the other direction where you're like, wow, literally any week anything can happen? And it can go against everyone's expectations?
I don't know if it makes me scared or antsy, you know what I'm saying, knowing that can happen, but I think it just proves what pretty much everybody in the league's been saying from media days and before on. that just anything can happen any given week. So you got to come out and be ready to execute, or else, you will either get, beat pretty badly, or you just will lose a close one because you didn't execute the right things correctly. So, you got to be ready to go from snap one.
Brendan, as a quarterback, is it kind of hard to prepare for a team when you look at Kansas, knowing Devin Dye, starting safety, is going to miss the first half, but then be there for the second half? Is it kind of hard to game plan as a quarterback to see what they do differently when he is on the field compared to when he's not?
I wouldn't really say that. Obviously they're really talented. He's a really talented player, but you got to treat it the same way going into it. It's the Big 12, so obviously the depth is very good as well. But we got to go into it with the same mindset of, either half. You got to go in there and we got to attack, and we got to, put a lot of points up, or else we won't win this game. Regardless of who we're playing, we got to have the same mindset going into each week, and we got to score and we got to find a way to win, regardless of what it takes.
Your line hasn't allowed a sack this year. Kansas has 12, I think second or third in the conference. Do you look forward to seeing strength on strength like that?
I don't know if I would really say that. Yeah, obviously, no. Obviously, I'm confident in our line, but, obviously, really talented group up front over there. And it's on me, not just our O-line, to, avoid those sacks. It's, getting out of the pocket, not just sitting back there holding the ball. And then just, being good with the quick pass game, and whenever the shots are downfield, to take it and hold on to the ball a little bit. You got to do that and make plays. But, I trust our guys up front. They've done a really good job so far.
Do you look to maybe neutralize that with the ground game, getting it to Tawi, getting it to Evan, maybe a little bit more?
Whatever Coach Sad wants. I usually don't make those calls, Chad, but, if he wants to run the ball, which I'm sure everybody knows that Sad does like to run the ball a little bit, whether it's with me or the running backs, we're going to do that. But, I feel good about the game plan we have going forward, and I'm excited to see what we can do on Saturday.
Passing game-wise, the last game, it's not going to be like that every game. But you might have had 5 left in the holster in that game. But how much does the confidence help you and the receivers to have a game like that and have some success?
Yeah, no, that's huge for us. It's going to be our job going forward to, the past 2 weeks. Obviously, Nebraska, we didn't have a great game through the air, but, the 2 weeks after that, we had some success throwing the ball. So we got to continue to carry that on going into conference play and use that confidence and continue to build on it. Like you said, obviously 15 for 15 is ideal, but it's not going to happen every week. So, it's our job to figure out ways to get completions and get the guys the ball. But, we just got to go out there and execute one play at a time, and I think the rest will take care of itself.
So these guys sack a lot of dudes, and you guys have not allowed any sacks. Just the challenge of that, how fun is that for you?
I think it's a great challenge. Not a lot of teams have not a lot of sack yet so far this season. I think it's 5 right now. Might be even less than that, but it's a great accomplishment so far for us, and how much drop back we've been running in the past couple of weeks. So I think it's a great challenge for us to go up against a great D line. They're very twitchy. They have great hands, so it'll be a great challenge for us.
Do you look at a game like this where they've got a good pass rush and think maybe a chance for us to get going in the run game, maybe take advantage of their aggressiveness, trying to get upfield?
Yeah, from the film I've watched and from what Carwell's been saying, they packed the box with a lot of guys, and hopefully our pass game opens up because of that. Hopefully we can get a one-on-one with the receiver on the outside, make a play there, and hopefully they back off a little and get that run game going.
You not only went up in a kind of level of football to Power 4, but you also changed positions from where you were at Ball State. How would you grade yourself? How comfortable are you at the inside position after playing tackle for the Cardinals?
So 2 years ago I actually played right guard for Ball State, then played a little bit of center. And then last season with injuries and all that, I had to switch out to tackle. But, I feel very comfortable at guard. I think on the inside is like where my home is. I think taking those skills that I learned at tackle and kind of implementing them at guard too has helped a lot with my game. So,
Taryn, you guys obviously kind of struggled with the silence cadence versus Nebraska. How important is it for you guys to be on track with that heading into a packed 40,000 fans on Saturday at Kansas?
Yeah, I think having that first experience at Arrowhead was good. Trying to use this silence cadence. Over time, I think we'll get better at it, of course, with practice and reps and all that. So we'll rep it a little bit this week. We'll see how loud it is, and if we can hear the clap, we'll stick with the clap. If we can't, then we'll go to silence cadence. So yeah.
And then obviously as an offensive lineman, what was the biggest takeaway from the bye week heading into Kansas on Saturday? Obviously a little extra time to prepare, but how did you guys prepare for this mindset?
I think it was just staying locked in, and obviously having Friday and Saturday off. Watch some ball, just chill. It really helps with your mind, your body, just getting that reset. But also coming back this week and getting after it today, tomorrow, being locked in on Thursday, being locked in on Friday, and leading up to game day, just being locked in.
How much are you strap in at noon and watch football till midnight guy, or you take advantage and take a day off a little bit too?
Friday took the day off, just watched a bunch of movies, and then Saturday watched ball pretty much the entire day. I don't like to get too into it because then I start scouting teams and looking at D linemen and stuff, and I'm not like a huge football watcher, like outside of film and stuff like that. Like just chilling, watching a game. Like I'll try to just watch. I won't try to put my mind too far into the game, but watch the UConn-Ball State game, watch my boys over there play, and watch a couple of the Big 12 games and see how they're going. So, yeah.
Taryn, a non-football question here for you. Obviously, since coming to Cincinnati, we heard you like to get out and watch a couple of Reds games here. Are you going to be locked in this week with everything on the line for the Reds as well?
Control your own destiny. We're ready for postseason in Cincinnati. I'll tell you that.
I don't have the roster in front of me, but I think there's a Ball State guy on their side. Receiver, maybe?
Yeah, Cam Pickett.
Okay. So
Came
scout him out
in
for
with
us.
him in 22, was in the dorms with him and everything. He's a great dude. Can't say enough good things about him. He's a great player. I think we use him for a lot of motions and stuff and eye candy at Ball State, and I think he's doing the same thing at Kansas. Talked to Trey yesterday, and he was like, yeah, they use a lot of motions in the backfield, eye candy stuff to try to get the eyes of the linebackers and safeties messed up. But, as long as we stay disciplined and, he's a great player, but, as long as we stay disciplined with our eyes on defense, I think just talking from Trey, it'll be good.
Does Coach Vike pull you in and ask you things like that?
No, he has not yet. I think, they kind of do their own scouting, which I'm fine with. I don't really all I can talk about is how great of a guy he is. He really is, so.
Tell me about Mr. Daniels, and are you ready to chase him around a little bit?
He's a great quarterback. He can do a lot of things when stuff goes wrong. He can expand plays. He can affect the game differently than most quarterbacks because he can use his legs. But it's going to be a fun time getting after him. I think we're going to draw up some schemes to get him off the spot. And I think our linebackers and our defense just plays with a lot of speed, and we'll be able to get to him.
Coach talked about eye discipline and tackling against their run game. How important from what you've seen is not getting caught up in some of the eye candy they do with the motions and misdirection stuff?
They do a lot with almost every player disguising what they do. So we just got to communicate a lot, stay disciplined with our eyes, and when we're tackling, maintain leverage. And just because most of the explosive plays is off of missed tackles. So we got to make those one-on-ones. We got to be in the right spots for everybody to do their job at a high level so we can stop their run and stop the pass.
Does it feel like there's an extra level of excitement going into this game after, not to say that the last two games after Nebraska weren't as big, but there's obviously an extra level you get to when you're playing a Power 5 opponent. Are you guys extra excited? Is there kind of extra energy in the locker room heading into this one?
Yeah, I think we're fired up because it's conference play now from here and now on. So I think we're ready to go. We've been waiting because this bye week had been a little long, so we've been waiting to get back after it, start the Big 12 off right.
JT, how important is it to have a guy like Samaj Jones on this roster that kind of resembles a guy like Jalen Daniels a little bit, a guy you guys see every day, and then when it comes to studying film on Jalen Daniels, how important is it to kind of see those resemblances between the two?
I think it's very important because we're getting extra reps on going against somebody like that without knowing who we're playing the season before. So, like in spring ball and even in fall camp, we going against him. So we got to be prepared for when he runs the ball and when he passes the ball. So it's just extra reps in practice again after it because Samaj is a great player.
And then obviously Kansas likes to run the ball. They average 5.5 yards per carry roughly. What stands out about those two running backs there, and Daniel Hillshaw and LaShawn Williams?
They play with speed. They're both fast. They can make people miss in open space. So we have to do a real good job of playing with poise and staying disciplined with our leverage and tackling the ball in our one-on-ones and matching their speed also.
You've been around some great defensive players in your time here. What's it been like seeing Golday do what he's been able to do to start this season off?
It's been great because I get to see him practice at it every day and even get extra reps after practice is over. So it's just all paying off. I don't think it's really a surprise to me because I've been seeing it ever since he's been here. So it does nothing but makes me better as a player too because we're competing to get each and every tackle. So it's good to see one of my teammates out there balling like that.
You could tell when he first got here, and he came in as a FCS kid, a year and a half ago, not very highly regarded. Did you see it right away? Like, this guy's kind of a freak.
Yeah, I definitely saw splurges of it. He just had to keep working at it like he did, and it all paid off for him, man. He's working at it every day, so it's no surprise at all.
It's another road game. You're flying into the same airport. How much did the previous experience, how much will that help you in this game? Because you guys, when you look at it, you were awfully close against Nebraska, and now you're getting a shot against Kansas. Not as big a crowd, but I'm sure it'll be loud and all that stuff, but you've got that one under your belt.
I think the experience helped out a lot because Nebraska, being at Kansas City was an amazing experience, but as you could tell, the whole crowd was against us. And I think our offense, defense, and special teams played with poise throughout that game and stayed under control. And we still was all together throughout the games, throughout the ups or downs. So I think it shouldn't be a big challenge for us as long as we stay together.